Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. My name is Daniel and I'm the High Mileage Helper. On this channel, my goal is to be able to help you learn more about the RV transporting industry, as well as give how-to videos for your truck and then give recommendations along the way. So if this is our first time meeting, just consider subscribing, hitting the like button if you get good value. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the commercial insurance that you need to get before you start commercially driving in the RV transporting industry. And we'll go ahead and get right into it. All right, guys, so what is this commercial insurance that you need? Where do you get it? How much do you need? How much does it cost? What goes into it? What does it really cover? And so we're going to be talking about several of those things. And so simply put, the commercial insurance that we need as RV transporters is called unladened insurance or non-trucking insurance. And it's a very specific insurance in what it does cover. So let's kind of unpack that. You know, normally under a personal policy, the question is generally not when does this policy cover me? Rather, it's how much does it cover me for? Does it cover me for collision, comprehensive, bodily injury, just a number of different things. With this type of insurance, this non-trucking unladened insurance is what it's called. This insurance is specifically made to cover you when you are unloaded, when you don't have a trailer behind you, when you're not commercially going down the road loaded. In other words, this means that every single moment you are not hooked up to a trailer, you're not commercially for hire with a BOL going down the road, that means that you are covered with this specific policy. So from the point that you drop off a trailer until the moment you pick up a trailer and attach it to your truck, this is the policy that covers you while you are empty, while you're traveling to go pick up a load, while you're coming back from a load, when you're traveling around town, when you're going on vacation. This policy, this unladened, this non-trucking policy is going to cover you until you are loaded again. This is how it was explained to me by my insurance agent, to be able to simplify it, to be able to show exactly what this policy covers. Not only do you need to know what it doesn't cover, but you need to know what it does cover, what falls within the parameters and what doesn't. So maybe the next question that you might have is that you need to know, how much coverage do you need? Is there too little? Is there too much? What's overkill? What's underkill? Is there any requirements possibly with your transporting company that you're looking to get hired onto, or maybe you're already with? And the answer to that is that it simply might vary between different transporting companies. Before they are willing to hire you on, they want to make sure that you've crossed a certain threshold for a certain amount of coverage to be able to cover you in the event that something might happen out on the road while you are unloaded, simply just you driving your truck. So just to give you a rough picture of what it might be, I've heard of transport companies requiring that you have at least $500,000, $750,000, or even $1 million as the minimum for them to be willing to sign you on as a commercial driver underneath their DOT authority. So depending on the company, they may require more, they may require less, but generally it falls in between that area from $500,000 to $1 million as a bare minimum. Of course, you could always go much more than that if you would like to, but obviously that would incur more to your premium payments. So a big question about this that I've received several times is, do you still have to maintain your personal policy for the collision and comprehensive to be able to cover you while you're going down the road? And the answer to that is that those would be rolled into your unladened non-trucking policy. So that would all be grouped together. You would need to confirm that with your insurance company just to verify that it is actually underneath the same policy. Maybe certain insurance companies do it differently than others. Don't just assume that what I'm saying is true. Verify it and ask questions to make sure that you are going to be completely covered across the board for a collision and comprehensive, and that you would not need to have a personal policy outside of this overall non-trucking unladen policy. The next big question is, how much do you need to insure your truck for this policy? And really that number is up to you. If you want to insure it for more than the actual total value of the truck because you've added a fuel tank, you've added a toolbox, you've added a fifth wheel, all the other gear that goes along with doing this job. If your truck gets totaled, everything else gets damaged, the fuel tank busts open, the fifth wheel hitch comes undone and wrecks the bed, and a number of different things that might happen if you were to be in an accident. You may want to be insured for more than your truck's value so that if something were to happen and it was completely totaled out, you would be able to completely replace your truck as well as replace the toolbox, the fuel tank, and anything else that you might have added after the fact that would go into completely replacing what you did have before any type of accident. Next up, something that I did not realize or know about until I got into this industry and actually dealt with multiple different companies over the last 5 years, is that there's such a thing as a radius of operation. And what that means is simply the distance between where your home base is, where your home might be, and how far away on any given trip, how far do you go out on a normal basis. I've had a company ask me how many trips I take a year, what was the average distance for all of those trips, what was the longest distance I've ever gone? What is the longest distance that I've traveled in the last 12 months? And just several other questions that they take into account when they put your policy together for a quote. I've also talked with companies and got quotes where they don't take that into account at all. They assume that you're going to be traveling around the entire country or maybe even outside of the country. And simply for the range of operation, they put unlimited. That's just a non-factor that they assume. You could be going anywhere as many miles away from home as possible. And it's just really a non-issue. And so this might be something that you come across. Maybe it's something not. Maybe they just assume it's unlimited. A radius of operation is something that could come up that they might ask. What's the average distance away from home? What's the longest you're planning on traveling? And any number of different questions relating to this type of an issue. So I am assuming for those companies that do go off of these numbers and they really want to calculate the risk versus reward, they're more likely to put you in a more higher risk category when it does come to pricing out your quote. So this could be a good news or a bad news situation if you were to go with this specific company that does it this way, that takes into account the radius of operation. Maybe they're taking this into account to be able to lower their overall premiums, to be able to get more customers, rather than just assuming you're going to be going all over creation, having that unlimited radius of operation, and potentially just assuming the worst. You know, the further that you're away from home, I believe the chances of being in a collision are much higher. The truth is, it doesn't really matter what I think or you think. All of these insurance companies, they have all their statistics. They are in this business to make money. They are going to make sure that they don't run a risk of losing money on you if something were to happen. So the radius of operation is definitely something that does apply to us. They'll ask questions or maybe they won't, but this will be in your policy saying whether it's unlimited, or maybe you just tell them, hey, I don't plan on going more than 500 miles away. Or maybe 1,000, or who knows. So this is definitely going to be a factor. So lastly, we're finally the part where you're probably most interested in, and that's the price of this insurance. You know, there's so many variables and different factors that go into this: your driving record, the value of your truck that you're putting on, your driving record, the value of the truck, how many miles you're going to be traveling, what's your overall coverage, and just a slew of other things that go into it. But generally what I have seen as far as price is, that I've heard from other drivers, that I've seen myself personally, is that you can probably count on a non-trucking or an unladened insurance policy being between roughly $200 and maybe up to $500, depending upon those variables. Have I heard of people's monthly premiums being below $200? Yes, I have. Have I heard of them being over $500 a month? Yes, I have. There's just a slew of factors. Those two would be the exception, below 200, above 500. And although there seems to be a number of variables, this is the range that I see or I hear about from other drivers for what they're paying for their non-trucking unladen policy. So now that you have a little bit better of an understanding of what this commercial insurance entails, how much it costs, what it includes, and all the things that come with it, now is the time for you to be able to find out from the transport company that you've already been hired onto, or maybe you're planning on getting hired onto. Ask them, what requirements do you have for the unladen unladened or the non-trucking insurance? What are the minimums? What's the verbiage that needs to be on the policy, whether it says unladened or non-trucking? Some companies require one, some companies require the other. One company might require one minimum amount of coverage and having the verbiage say this, versus another company might have something completely different. So before you go out and get a policy, ask the company that you're going to be going with, or ask the multiple companies you're planning on trying to get hired onto before you're going to choose which company you're going to go with. Have this stuff written down, kind of plot this out. This is something that's going to affect you down the road, and being able to have these dots connected as early as possible is definitely something that will be helpful to you. I would just stress again, before you actually commit and get a policy with a company, send the quote over to your transport company for them to verify that it does meet all of their requirements and it says what they want it to say to have you covered. Because I have heard of several situations where people have preemptively gone ahead and got the policy. It didn't have what the transport company really needed to have on there, and there were headaches going back and forth and issues all around. And so making sure you're pre-approved, pre-good to go with your transport company before you pay the premium and get all set up, and before there's any issues, make sure that your transport company is good to go with the policy and the insurance company that you did go with. So hopefully this video is helpful to you. I try to cram as much information here as possible. I'm sure I've missed a few things. If I did, seasoned drivers, please let me know down in the comments below. Maybe I'll pin the best comment for things that I missed that fell through the cracks here. Insurance is just a huge subject that's so vital and very important, especially when it comes time for, God forbid, an actual accident to take place. And so it's critical for your finances. It's critical for insurance purposes. You've got to have it. Know what you need, find out, and use your discernment when choosing a policy and an insurance company. If this video was a help to you, just consider subscribing, hitting the like button if you got good value. I really hope I was a help to you. Until next time, stay safe and God bless, guys.